How is it going, everyone? It's Caleb here, and today we are going to be talking about Wipeout XL on the PlayStation 1. And I have to be honest, I didn't really want to talk about this game because I don't like it. I didn't grow up with Wipeout. I'm not really familiar with the franchise. I just kind of always looked at it as kind of like an F-Zero clone. And again, I'm not even a huge F-Zero fan. I like futuristic racing games. I've played some of the other futuristic racing games. I've played like Extreme G, for example, and I love Extreme G. I grew up playing Scorcher on the Sega Saturn, and I love Scorcher, even though, honestly, I would never recommend someone play Scorcher these days because it aged very, very poorly. But, I am nostalgic for it at least. So, I do like futuristic racing games. I even tried Fast RMX. Like, that was the only thing I played on the Nintendo Switch, like, the first year it came out was Fast RMX. So, I like futuristic racing games, but the biggest problem for this game is the controls. The controls just are not very good in this game, I don't like the way this game plays. Graphically, yeah, no issue with it. I think graphically it looks fine. It's a little bit dark for a PlayStation 1 game, but still, I don't mind it too much. I like the way the vehicles look. The vehicles look, pretty much like every other racing game that you see in modern day. It really does kind of set a standard for how futuristic racing games should look. So that looks fine. Love the way that looks. Love the different paint jobs on the different vehicles. And I also do like the way that the courses look. I'm not a huge fan of the way that they're laid out. Not a huge fan of the course design, but I do like the actual graphics and looks of the courses. And I also do like the music a lot in this game. I think the music's pretty good. Whenever you get that kind of like 90s techno music, I'm always a fan of that in futuristic racing games. It always just fits perfectly. So, all that stuff I'm good with. My biggest problem really is just the controls. The controls are very clunky feeling, and the turning is the biggest problem in this game for me. I just feel like the handling is super, super clunky. Whenever, you control your vehicle with the D-pad, and then you can use the bumpers to kind of make your vehicle turn even more. And it feels very clunky, and a lot of these maps, they have really tight corners, and it's just really hard to control. And for me, it just kind of makes it feel more like a chore when I'm playing it than it is actually relaxing fun. I like games that are kind of relaxing, laid back, and just more fun. But this one, I just didn't really enjoy it a whole lot, And it does have a very odd difficulty spike when you go to the different difficulties. Like, easy mode, it's pretty easy. Medium mode, also pretty easy. Then hard mode, hard mode isn't bad. But then when you get to, like, very hard mode, like, good luck. good luck on a very hard mode. Especially on the last two courses that you get in this game. Like, the last two courses have tons of, like, jumps and just really strange turns. And it's just, they're not really fun to drive on. The first, like, 6 courses, I actually don't mind too much. I actually think that they're not too bad other than some tight turns on there. But those last 2 that you unlock are really rough. I hate those 2. But the actual, like, graphics and everything, I still think that looks alright. The sound design is actually pretty good as well. I like that it does kind of go with, the kind of like Mario Kart style pickups. You find just pickups on the ground and you can use them during the races. The pickups are basically these little flat pads that you can see on the racetracks. You can drive over these boosts and you can get the boosts, and then there's these other ones that are just like X marks, and when you drive over those X marks you get a pickup. And you can get a bunch of different things. You can get, like, lock-on missiles. You can get mines to drop behind you, which is pretty cool. And you can also get autopilot, which I always loved getting autopilot because that meant I didn't have to drive. So I always liked that one. I didn't have to worry about taking the corners or anything. It just did it for me, so I was always a fan of that one. And I did like how in this game you have, like, an energy bar, and the energy bar is essentially your health bar. And you can actually refill it by going through a pit stop. At the, like, towards the finish line, there's a little pit stop that you can actually go through and refill your energy. So I did like that as well. And if you get knocked out and you lose all your energy, you will lose the race. Which, again, I don't actually mind too much. I think that's fine. Give me some consequences for the race. I'm fine with that. So all that stuff I actually didn't mind too much. The biggest problem for me is just really the way that the vehicles feel when I'm controlling them. I just didn't think that they steered very well. I thought it felt kind of clunky. And if I'm going to go back and play a racing game, a retro racing game, I want the controls to at least feel pretty good. Graphics I can live with however they look, but I really would like some tighter controls. The controls just didn't feel tight enough for me, and it just kind of felt like a clunky experience because of that. I understand why people like this game. I totally get it. If I grew up with this game, I'd probably love it, but I didn't grow up with it. I have no nostalgia for it, and the racing just is kind of meh. So if I'm going to go back and play a retro racing game that's a futuristic racing game, I'm probably going to go play Extreme G instead. But that's my review of Wipeout XL. I'm not going to say it's a horrible game. It's just not really my thing. I didn't personally like the controls. I'm not going to recommend it because I can't. You know, if you grew up with it, I get it. But I just personally didn't really enjoy it. But thank you guys for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe button down below. I'll see you in the next one. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.